Hi, welcome to the Unscripted podcast, where our hosts, or I guess we're both the hosts, Danny and Mike, me, are
Yes,
gonna
we
just
are.
we're gonna yap about whatever comes to mind. Just let the
Exactly.
internet be entertained.
For sure.
So,
This is our pilot episode. So
mhm.
and we have a couple of episodes planned, so we'll give this a try and
Yeah,
yeah, and just see where this takes us. Um
exactly. Yeah,
I used ChatGPT to come up with a couple of talking, um, uh, I guess talking points or like topics for conversation. I don't know if you prepared any
sure.
like specific topics, Mikey.
Ooh, I have broader topics. Like, for example, we can talk about, I guess, like personal finance, which is also like kind of like an easy one to
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like share.
for sure, for
But there's
sure.
also, I guess like, yeah, like topics like the broader economy and like bigger questions like, what is the role of capitalism in our lives and how do we function in this system? So those are
Yeah,
like what I'm particularly, I guess, like interested in. But like, what do you got?
these are very deep topics.
Yeah.
Mine are like, um, mine are more, I guess. Less intense. They're like it's minimalism, lifestyle, living in the
Ooh.
city,
Mhm.
lifestyle hacks.
Okay.
I guess there is like a section for deep dive conversations.
Right.
So like one of the topics is like life lessons nobody told us in our 20s,
Ooh.
the future of dating, work, and identity.
Yeah. Or speaking of
And
like 20s, I guess I didn't give a proper introduction. I'm in my 20s. I'm a Gen Zer, and Danny is
I'm a little older. I'm a
yeah.
millennial,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm in my 30s.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to hear, I
For
guess, what we have
sure.
to
I think we'll
say.
have a different perspective on any topic that we talk about. But I do like
Yeah.
your topic about personal finance. I think there is definitely a big difference in the way that I view money and
Hmm.
investing and building wealth in my 20s versus my 30s.
Hmm.
So yeah, maybe we can start with that.
Yeah, why not? So I
Okay.
guess I'll kind of like start with how I kind of fell into the personal finance rabbit hole, and like how I kind of like got interested in it. But yeah, long story short, yeah, I had just graduated college and I was like, I have no idea how to manage my own money, but I was surrounded by, I guess, like plenty of people who seemed like they did, but I also wasn't exactly sure, like, if, like how to kind of approach that topic. So I kind of like took the responsibility myself to figure out, like, oh, like, so how do I figure this out? And I think YouTube definitely like had a lot of resources for that. Like there's a lot of personal finance content. And I also had like one of my best friends is like I don't know, like decently wealthy and also works kind of like in the banking space. So I would assume that, she would also have answers for me as well. And I realized that neither of us knew what the fuck we were doing. So yeah, that was kind of like what inspired me to take the deep dive and like, about investing, opening up a retirement account like Roth IRAs and whatnot. So yeah, it was like right after I graduated college. And also I had a friend who worked at a hedge fund who told me, open up a Roth IRA. I'm gonna get on a Zoom call right now and like I'm gonna guide you through the steps on how to do that. But she never explained to me why it was important. She was just like, you just need to do it. And I was like, okay, but like why? And it was the
Yeah.
figuring out the why part that kind of actually inspired the action to start kind of like saving and investing like for the future. So that's like kind
Yeah.
of how I kind of fell into it. But yeah, what about
Yeah.
you?
That's so interesting. I think for me, there was, I can only speak from my experience. I have to say, in the early 2010s,
Mm,
um, and in 2000s, late 2000s, when I was in high school and then going into college and then graduating and entering the workforce, I would say there was very little information out there about personal finance from
Yeah.
compared to today. And I think on YouTube, I mean, YouTube was just kind of starting out at that time, and there wasn't really as prominent a niche. And so it
Mm,
was difficult to find information about investing and building wealth,
mm,
and how to do it very effectively and quickly. And I mean, I went to business school, so the focus there was to find a high-paying job, work at that said job for 30 years, and then retire. And so it
mm,
was a very traditional path. Um, and so, there was a period of time, I think, when I graduated where I kind of followed the traditional approach of like, finding a corporate job,
mm,
saving a little bit from my paycheck,
mm,
um, and then, investing in a 401k plan.
mm,
But investing, that was tough. I think I had a lot of innate fears about investing because, what if you lose everything in the
mm.
market?
Yeah, yeah,
What if there's another crash like 2008? And I lived through
yeah,
that and it was tough. I mean, I saw a lot of family, friends, and my own family as well, kind of deal with the consequences of that. So I think
right.
that then, as a result, I had a bit of fear about investing that kind of carried me
Yeah,
through my mid
yeah.
20s. And it wasn't until later on when more creators came out and there's so much content out about FIRE and financial independence
Mm,
that I realized, oh, like this is something that's worth pursuing and worth paying attention to.
hmm.
So, and what a great interesting kind of development in this space that YouTube became uh,
Yeah.
a place to share not just kind of personal videos, funny videos, and lifestyle videos, but also
For
about
sure.
how to kind of organize your life and take care of your financial health, which I think is a such an underrated cornerstone of who we are as we develop and move through life.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I definitely like feel resonate with a lot of what you're saying. But I also
Yeah,
think it's really interesting, like the generational difference between like when I guess like you first graduated, there wasn't like that much like information about personal finance at the time. Whereas like as soon as I graduated, I was like overwhelmed with like I didn't know exactly what to pay attention to, but I knew that there was a lot, like a wealth of information out there. And I think having access to that, but also knowing exactly like what to pay attention to, I think was the like hard part of like figuring like that out. So it's like finding like the right resources to read and
yeah,
figure out like how to actually implement this like and what like I'm always constantly like learning and like getting inspired by new ideas. But
yeah,
yeah, I think fire definitely was one of the most pivotal I guess like philosophies or lifestyle approaches that I think was very like interesting, at least to me. Um
for sure, for sure. Yeah, and I think when I first, and it takes time to kind of understand and to see case studies and to be
uh,
comfortable with how I guess people within this community invest and achieve financial independence. I think it takes a little bit of courage, I think, to kind of take a step and even putting,
yeah,
money in a brokerage and putting in
for
the
sure.
S&P. I think for me that was challenging. It was challenging to kind of take that step. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
once you start doing it and once it becomes habitual and you kind of understand, and I think it also incentivizes you to kind of follow the markets, right? To like understand what is driving the US economy, and
Hmm.
it gives you kind of incentive to educate yourself, which is
Yeah.
always a good thing.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
I definitely think that like the deeper down, I guess like the rabbit hole that you go, the more like the bigger questions like start surfacing. It's like, are we kind of like regretting that we hadn't invested sooner because of, for example, like survivorship bias? Like, is the market in the US particularly special, or like compared to like other global equities? And there are all of these other questions and uncertainties that I think come up like the more like the deeper that you dig into investing is like, are we a special case? Um, in terms of being able to feel secure enough to invest most of our wealth in like the growth of particularly like US markets compared to like the rest of the world. And And it's also a question of like, well, if I guess most global equities are loosely like or almost like tightly correlated with each other, despite like different levels of volatility. It's like how do we know and feel secure that this is because right, like even as an
Mm.
investor, I think everybody deals with this insecurity of like systemic risk of like yeah, like another 2008 happening, but like how are we so sure that it's going to like recover the same way that it did before? So I guess a lot of these like questions still I think come up
Yeah.
even,
No, it's an
right?
existential
But
question,
yeah.
for sure. And yeah, I mean, I hope that we don't, have another 2008, but worse. I mean, that would be just absolutely devastating,
Yeah.
for the global economy and for our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess no one is absolutely certain that there won't be another, catastrophe, but at the same time, I think. I suppose at the same time, if you think about it, if there is a catastrophe like that, I suppose money really wouldn't be the
Yeah.
most important thing that you'd worry about, right? I
Right.
think.
Right.
So, but I suppose also to your point about kind of, how the markets are correlated, I think there is definitely value in diversification into different kinds of assets. So equities obviously is like one component of my portfolio. But recently, I've been slowly also investing a little bit in gold, a little bit in REITs.
Hmm.
And to a degree, there is some correlation between, these assets as well. But I think thinking about alternatives is also maybe another way to kind of hedge against risk
Yeah.
um, and assuage that yourself that in the event of maybe a downturn, you still have other, assets in your
Yeah.
portfolio that can um, uh, increase in value and help, reduce your total losses.
For
Um,
sure.
I will say, I mean, I think, things like a job as well. I read, yeah, people think of a job as like kind of like a fixed income security almost. Obviously, it's not the same, but
Right.
it's another kind of avenue of income, and yeah, it's interesting. I think um, there's um there's an interesting podcast I'm thinking about where I'm forgetting who, but it talks about kind of different streams of income and kind of a goal being how many different streams can you build?
Mm.
Um, and even within investments, there's a way of thinking about like equities and REITs and gold and crypto as kind of different income
Mm.
streams, though they are all considered investments. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, so
Yeah.
things
No,
kind of that I think about when I think about diversification and hedging against risk.
for sure. I've also been reading a lot into, I guess, like different ways to diversify in like other asset classes in terms of specifically like investing strategy. But there is one tool that I find particularly like valuable or interesting. It is like there's a website called Testfolio where you can kind of backtest. It's also like kind of like wishy-washy because it's like backtesting is only as good as the data like that
Mm.
it's provided. But it's like it seemed that if you had diversified into like I think 15 like 10 to 15% gold as well as like a good chunk of like your portfolio in bonds, like that would have basically hedged against the risk of your portfolio like declining in value until up to I think 2016 where like the
Wow.
bull market in the tech world like really like skyrocketed and at that point, I think like the interest rate environment was also like, changing a lot and it caused like, I guess like the, I guess intention to hedge your bets to be a suboptimal strategy than just fully investing in like the US equity market. So
Mm.
there's really no guarantee like it's like whether or not like one strategy it's will necessarily outperform like the other and
Yeah.
it all varies like with I don't know like the timing and like the different environments that we're existing in and
Yeah.
it's really so hard to predict like how
It is. It is. But it is. I suppose the good thing, is that things are always going up,
yeah
as of now, as of now.
at
So
least for yeah people who already own existing assets it's definitely like beneficial so
yeah,
yeah
yeah. But I think there's also a lot of, additional opportunity for growth. I was listening to this podcast. I forget her name. She's like a very famous investor, Kathy Woods, or anyways, she manages the like various ARK Venture Fund and the various ETFs and assets. And she's talking about how crypto is at 100, about 120,000 today, I think. But she believes that it could go as high as 1.5 million, which is really interesting, especially as kind of lower income countries without stable currencies adopt that. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of use cases for crypto, for Bitcoin in particular, um,
Mm-hmm.
in those regions of the world. Um, it's interesting, yeah. And for her, Tesla is also big. This is not investment advice, by the way. I think I'll add a disclaimer
Definitely not.
that
By the
this is
way, like
not.
none of us, this is just for educational purposes. We're just
This is
here, we're
intended
just talking
to
heads at the end of the day.
entertain, not to
Yeah,
recommend.
for sure.
Yeah, but in her podcast, she also was very much a fan of Tesla.
Mm,
She thinks that Tesla can become a multi-trillion dollar company.
mhm.
It might be already. I forget the market cap, but
Yeah,
um, once autonomous taxis hit the road, it could really change our world and create
yeah.
a lot of value. So um,
Mm,
I'm optimistic about that, and I hope technology matures and there's no risks and things do well. I think it benefits all of us.
for sure. Yeah, it'd be cool to one day not have everyone need to drive and you can just get chauffeured everywhere by,
That
I
would
guess,
be very
autonomous
nice. Yeah, to
vehicles.
be able to order a taxi and
Yeah.
have it, take you from place A to B,
Mm,
charge you maybe a couple cents per mile.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Anyways,
right. I guess the
um,
next topic. Oh, go ahead.
oh,
Yeah.
no, no, no. I do think, yeah, maybe it's time to move on to a different topic. How are we doing
Sure.
on time, by the way?
We're 20 minutes in, so we got
Okay.
like 10 more minutes before we can like wrap
Yeah. I'll
podcast.
edit this part out. Okay, so next topic.
You talked
I'm
about
trying to think
minimalism.
what would be good. Okay, we hit on the cross-generational perspectives as
Mhm.
part of personal finance. Career advice across ages.
Ooh.
Share insights into career struggles and established career challenges.
Mm, mm, mm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think like for I think my generation, particularly like for recent grads, there's a lot of narratives and like information about how I guess like a lot of companies are currently experiencing a hiring freeze because of a lot of uncertainty in the US economy.
Mm,
And also, there's a lot of uncertainty with AI and automation taking over, I guess, like jobs. The unemployment rate among recent graduates is probably the lowest in the past couple of decades. There's like various statistics and narratives that are kind of like out there that kind of scare, I think, a lot of people in my generation from taking more risk, and everybody wants to cling on to kind of like the sense of security. So it's like, how do we balance this sort of entrepreneurial spirit of like wanting to, try to find other ways of kind of making money in a meaningful way, um, also contributing to society at the same time. I think that's kind of like the main focus of perhaps people in my generation, just like the desire to find meaningful work and to
yeah.
contribute to society in a way that also is personally fulfilling. I think that's kind of like a huge, I don't know, selling point for, yeah, um, a lot
Yeah,
of,
it's an interesting time that we live in where there's so much that's happening all at once.
yeah,
And there is a sense that there's a lot of disruption, but good and bad in the future
Yeah.
coming. Um, but I have to say, I also wonder the timing of that. Like, when is that going to happen? When will all these technological changes actually become very prevalent? And it's hard to say. Um, I think even for experienced hire or pe folks who've, worked a couple of years, there is a fear of, what's going to happen. Will my job still be available or still be there
Mhm.
in the next couple of years? Um, I think over the long term, I am optimistic. I think in the past, all technology revolutions have led to a huge increase in jobs and employment later down the line, but there is a period of transition, and that'll have to
Mhm.
be managed well by, politicians and policymakers. Yeah,
Mhm.
I
For
guess
sure.
I'm curious, what are your thoughts on some industries that are being kind of disrupted? I guess, technology,
Ooh.
software development comes to mind, but like, what are some other ones?
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, you think?
I would say customer service is probably one that can very easily get wiped out.
Mm,
I think that is, typically like, in a sector that a lot of people tend to, think about like, oh, like this is probably one of the easiest to automate. But I think
mm,
with, I guess, like more advanced language models, I don't know, like GPT-5, it's like definitely getting closer and closer. But yeah, I don't know, some interesting industries that could be disrupted with AI. I also think are like music production. There's a lot of startups that, kind of like, generate AI music. And also, yeah, I feel like these are just like a handful that I can think of, but
that's interesting.
yeah.
AI startups that generate music.
It's already out there. It's like
Wow.
they're, yeah, like music generation and like the lyric generation.
Are there any AI albums out there? I don't think I've like I know the technology exists,
Yeah.
but I'm curious, like, are there any actual like published songs or, well, I guess there are. I mean, I guess you hear them on TikTok, but I
Yeah.
don't know that I've seen them on like Spotify or,
Mm.
like on the MTV Awards, that kind of level of
Yeah.
exposure.
I feel like I haven't, or at least I'm sure it's out there, but I also personally don't know
Yeah.
of any. So, but this is me just getting acquainted with the idea of
Yeah,
um,
that's so cool.
AI and the way
Yeah.
that our future is going to
It's
be.
interesting. And the music industry is so saturated too. There's so
Right.
many artists out there. And so with AI, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I guess the good thing is there's a lot of, for AI, is that there's a lot of data out there for it to consume and uh, I guess produce, really good quality tracks. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What kind of futuristic job do you think you'd want? Um,
Ooh.
or do you think there will be, and yeah, I guess, yeah, of those jobs, what kind of work would you want to do?
Hmm. I would say it'd be really interesting to kind of like be an AI kind of like tourist.
Hmm,
I mean,
interesting.
I'll specify. So basically, it's like you kind of like go into a different country and you basically get an AI assistant that helps become your tour guide. I think like tourism and AI could be a really interesting mashup.
Okay.
Um, but we also have like ChatGPT giving like touring like recommendations, but not necessarily it functioning itself as like a tour guide that will take you around. So I think that could be an interesting, I don't know, direction to
Would
go.
the tour guide be just kind of like an app on your phone? So you'd go to the country, you'd take out your phone and kind of take a photo or whatever it might be, and then say, walk me
Yeah,
around and talk about the sites and
yeah,
destinations.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't answer
So,
your question about like the ideal job I would want, but that was the first thing that I thought of that was tangentially related to
so like so building kind of an
yeah,
AI model.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
see. Yeah, I immediately in my mind I had a vision of like a like a robot of some kind, like an
Mm-hmm.
R2T R2D2 that just like meets you at a yeah at some kind of a tourist destination and says something like, "Hey, do you want a tour guide?" And you can
Yeah.
follow it around and it can talk to you.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the robotic side of things is interesting.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean that could really produce a lot of value for
for sure.
society, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the latest prototypes, I think, well, I mean the ones from Boston Dynamics are pretty good.
Mm,
But for Optimus, maybe not so much.
mm,
So not yet, I guess.
yeah.
Um, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Robot tour guides.
Mm,
That could be interesting.
yeah.
I guess for me, future job wise, I think something I think something where you can maybe like work together with AI. Like, for example, you have an idea for some kind of a prototype for some kind of a product. And
Mm,
then it's kind of like the Tony Stark. You put it into your AI machine and it says, okay, well, I see what you're trying to build.
mm,
You need parts, you need materials A, B, and C, and you need to produce parts D, E, F, and you assemble
mm,
it like this.
mm,
You kind of work together with it to produce some kind of a product or
mm,
some kind of oh,
mm.
we have 10 minutes left in our meeting.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
we can start
Yeah.
wrapping up whenever, but
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I have to upgrade to Zoom Pro but yeah, as I was saying, yeah, I guess something like that could be interesting, like an inventor,
mm,
um, with
yeah.
with
Yeah.
a super intelligent AI assistant.
Yeah. Or honestly, like I feel like becoming an AI assisted or an AI assisted designer, you know how like Stable Diffusion like generates like or at least in the very beginning was able to generate like this um image of an avocado chair. It'd be really interesting to be someone who can kind of like have a personal design assistant where it's like I want a chair produced that um looks like an avocado. And like that would be an interesting job to have to be like a
For
collaborative
sure.
designer with like an AI production kind of line where you can just type a prompt into AI and instead of it generating an image, it will generate like an actual like life-size object of what you
What's
were
it called?
intending to
Like a cat? Oh, like actually printed out.
yeah, from like beginning to end, like an entire like full product that you can just like get shipped to your house.
That is
Uh,
interesting. Yeah.
anyway, just like many ideas that are like
No, that's cool.
uh
Yeah,
it's like
avocado
I want an
chair.
avocado chair, but it doesn't exist in like the market. So an AI like kind of factory assembly line that can like take different inputs and then try to like produce a product like just like with minimal human input, like just like on the other
Wow.
end.
That's
That could
interesting.
be that could be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think these are some interesting topics to think about for our viewers.
Mhm. For sure. Definitely.
Um, I'm trying to think of a good outro.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I guess what are some topics that you want to maybe we should ask our viewers to stay tuned for our next upload.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely delve like deeper into our kind of like life philosophy slash like how minimalism, like our relationship to minimalism in our lives or what it means to us. We can
Hmm,
definitely talk about that
yeah,
and also talk about, or we can also delve deeper into kind of like personal finance as well, because definitely there's a lot more to be said about that.
for sure. So much more. Um,
Uh, but
yeah,
yeah, I feel like this is kind of a good intro into our brains and what's happening in our heads. So,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
Mhm.
Oh, great.
Great.
Well, thanks everyone for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe,
Yes.
and we'll see you next time
Yep. On our next episode of Unscripted, because none
on
of this was
Unscripted
scripted.
with
So,
Mikey and Danny.
yes. All right.
Okay,
Ciao, ciao.
bye.